Hello, and welcome to English Podcast Voice. I'm Ava and this is Noah.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. It's 6:45 a.m. The alarm's going off. Your eyes aren't even open yet. You haven't pulled the duvet back, but your brain is already at the office.
Oh, yeah. The pre-coffee panic. I know it well.
Exactly. You're mentally drafting that email to the client. You're replaying that awkward thing you said in the Zoom meeting yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about circling back, optimizing workflows, and moving the needle. You haven't even brushed your teeth, and you're already drowning in corporate jargon.
It's exhausting. And it's interesting because we treat that internal monologue as, normal.
Right.
But what you're describing is a massive spike in cognitive load before you've even had a calorie of energy. When we frame our work in that high-stakes language, we're basically telling our nervous system we're in danger.
So today, we are doing something that, honestly, when I first saw the source material, I thought it was a mistake. I thought I'd opened the wrong file.
Yeah.
We aren't looking at a productivity hack from some CEO. We aren't looking at a new time management system. We're looking at a language guide.
Mastering simple English, talking about your workday.
Right. And I can just hear people now going, wait, a grammar guide? I know how to speak English. I know how to say, I work.
It sounds so incredibly basic, but here's the thing, and this is why this deep dive is going to be so different. Sometimes we overcomplicate things to feel important. This source material does the opposite. It strips the workday down to its absolute bare bones. And in doing that, it becomes this surprisingly profound meditation on how we define our labor and, well, ourselves.
I have to admit, I was skeptical. I read the first few pages and thought, okay, this is for someone learning English as a second language. How is this for me?
Sure.
But then I kept reading.
Yeah.
And I realized that I'm navigating complex stakeholder alignment with, I work with a team. It actually did something to my blood pressure.
It's a linguistic detox.
A detox. That's it, exactly. So our mission today is to look at the language of work through this lens of just extreme clarity. We want to see if changing the words we use can actually change how we feel about the daily grind.
Well, there's a lot of psychological backing for this. It sort of touches on the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, the idea that a language's structure affects how its speakers see the world.
Oh, right.
So if your language for work is violent, killing it, crushing it, putting out fires, your reality of work becomes a battlefield.
But if it's simple and factual,
your reality becomes manageable.
okay, so let's test that. The source material constructs a sort of theoretical day. But it doesn't start with get up and hustle.
No, not at all.
It actually starts with instruction to the listener. It says, take a moment to settle in. You don't need to do anything right now, just listen.
Which is it's so radically different from how most of us start our day. Usually work is about doing, constant motion.
Right, frantic.
But this source establishes a baseline of just existence first. It frames the whole thing within a pause. It reminds you that you exist outside of your labor. You are a person first.
The worker comes second.
Exactly.
It sets the stage for these identity statements. And they are so aggressively simple. The text offers phrases like, I work during the day, or this one really got me, I have a job.
Think about the weight of that phrasing, I have a job. It's a statement of possession. It's like saying, I have a car.
Or I have a coat, as opposed to, I am a project manager.
Precisely. When you say I am, you are fusing your identity with your economic output. So if you lose the job, you lose a part of yourself.
But when you say, I have a job, you're creating distance.
It neutralizes the ego. The
Wow.
text doesn't care if you're a CEO or an intern. The sentence is just, I have a job.
It builds a boundary right from the start. But I want to push back a little. Is it really that easy? Because our culture asks, what do you do? Like 5 seconds after meeting you.
Oh, it's not easy at all. It's a discipline. The text makes it sound simple, but to actually adopt that mindset, that's a radical act. You have to constantly remind yourself that the job is something you possess, not something you are.
What I found really touching, actually, was how inclusive this first section is.
Really?
It validates every stage of employment. Because you might say, I'm a student, or I work from home.
Mm-hmm.
But then it explicitly adds, maybe you are looking for work. And right after that, it says, all of this is okay.
That is such a crucial validation. In our culture, being between jobs is loaded with shame, with anxiety. We feel like we're falling behind.
It feels like a gap in your resume is a gap in your personal worth.
Exactly. But this source just strips that judgment away. It puts, I am looking for work, on the exact same grammatical level as I work in an office. It's just a state of being.
It's just a fact about your current reality.
Not a verdict on your character. It invites you to just state the fact without all that emotional baggage.
It just levels the playing field. Then it moves to describing the job itself. And this is where the simple English part creates this really interesting objectivity. You can say, my work is busy. Or you can say, my work is simple.
And again, the text says both are correct. It's
Right.
saying that communication doesn't need to be flowery to be effective. It just needs to be clear. I think about how often we catastrophize our workload. We say, I'm totally drowning, or it's a nightmare out there.
It's a dumpster fire. That's my go-to. I use that at least 3 times a week.
And when you say dumpster fire, your body literally reacts to heat, chaos, and danger.
Right.
But if you replace that with the simple phrase, my work is busy, what happens? You've defined the problem. You haven't spiraled. You've just stated a fact.
My work is busy. Okay? I can handle busy. I can't handle a dumpster fire.
Exactly. It's grounding.
So we've established who we are, we have a job, and what the job is, busy or simple. Now the source moves into the actual rhythm of the day. It breaks it down. You wake up, you get ready, and then you begin.
There's this certain inevitability to it. It's like the tide. It removes the need for motivation or, hype. You don't need to watch a motivational video to do data entry. You just begin.
And there's flexibility. The text notes that not everyone's clock is the same. I start work in the morning. I start work in the afternoon. It acknowledges shift workers, freelancers.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to the actual doing. The phrase the source uses for most of our day is just, I do my work.
I do my work.
See, that sounds almost too basic. I do my work. Does that really cover everything? I feel like if I told my boss I'm doing my work, he'd think I was slacking off.
In a performance review. Maybe. But for your own internal monologue, it's perfect. Whether you're performing brain surgery or stocking shelves, the fundamental action is I do my work.
It removes the hierarchy of importance.
Exactly. It reduces this mountain of tasks down to a simple verb. Do. It focuses you on the process, not the outcome.
So it's about being in the action, not worrying about the result of the act.
You are just doing.
But here is where the source surprised me. I expected it to stick to physical actions. I type, I call, but it dives right into our emotional states, and it presents them as binary options that are equally valid. You can say, I feel focused at work, or you say, I feel tired at work.
This is where the emotional intelligence really kicks in. This is what psychologists call affect labeling, just putting feelings into words to reduce their power. How often do we admit, especially at work, I feel tired?
Never. That's admitting defeat. We say, I need more coffee, or I'm just powering through. We mask it.
We treat tiredness like a moral failing, but the source says explicitly, both are normal. That validation is huge. It means you aren't failing because you're tired. You're just a human who is experiencing a human state.
But practically, can we actually use this?
Yeah.
If I go into a meeting and announce I feel tired, that feels risky.
Well, you don't have to broadcast it to the room. The most important audience for that sentence is you. If you can just say to yourself, I feel tired, without adding, and that means I'm lazy and I'm going to get fired, you break that whole spiral. You create a container for the feeling. You don't have to fight the feeling and do the work. You just do the work while feeling tired.
I really like that. It's permission to be human. So we're moving through the day, doing our work, and then we run into other people.
The variable you can't control.
Exactly. The source has a whole section on this. I work alone, or I work with a team.
And it breaks down the mechanics of it so beautifully. You talk to people at work, you listen, you respond. It just deconstructs communication into its parts. It stops us from overanalyzing the office politics.
It also drops a huge truth bomb. It reads, working with people can be nice. Sometimes it can be difficult.
Understatement of the year, maybe.
Right. Sometimes it can be difficult.
Right.
But I love how matter-of-fact it is. That happens, the source says. It doesn't use words like toxic or hostile. It just says, sometimes it's difficult.
By keeping the language neutral, it keeps our reaction neutral. If we label a coworker toxic, we go into fight or flight every time we see them.
But if we just acknowledge that working with them is difficult,
That's just a fact of the day, like bad weather. It's manageable.
it's not a catastrophe, just a difficulty. I also noticed the source really highlights the word listen. I listen at work.
That's a powerful inclusion. Usually when we think about work communication, we think about persuading, presenting, talking.
Right.
This source suggests an active state of reception. I listen. It forces you to be present.
Speaking of being present, the source puts a huge emphasis on stopping. The pause. It introduces the phrase, I take a break.
It's vital. In so many high-performance cultures, a break is seen as a weakness, something you only do when you collapse.
But here, it's an essential part of the day syntax. You start, you work, you take a break. It's a necessary beat in the rhythm. And the details are so sensory. It mentions drinking water, tea, or coffee. I drink water. It grounds you in your physical body. You aren't just a brain in a jar.
And look at the transition after the break. I continue my work. That phrase is so resilient. You stopped. You stepped away. And now you return. It implies you are choosing to pick it back up.
It's not the work drags me back in, it's I continue. I love that agency. But of course, the source doesn't ignore the hard stuff. It explicitly brings up pressure and deadlines and gives us the language for it. I feel stressed at work.
Again, normalizing the negative, I feel stressed, is presented as a common, valid sentence. When the text says that is common, you feel less alone. Stress isn't a personal failure, it's a shared feature of the modern workplace.
But then it offers the counterbalance. And this is so important because it redefines success. It offers the phrases, I finished my task, and I feel proud of my work.
Notice the scale there. It's not I landed the $1 million contract, it's I finished my task. The source reminds us that small progress matters. It says work is not just about money, it's about effort, learning, growing.
That reframing is so healthy. But does it work when things go wrong? If I mess up a project, can I really say, I feel proud?
You can feel proud of the effort. It shifts the metric from output to input. Did you put in the effort? Did you learn something from the mistake? Then the work had value, regardless of the outcome. That's a stoic mindset in simple vocabulary.
So now we get to the part everyone struggles with the most. The end of the day, the shutdown. The source walks us through it like a ritual. It says, as the day moves forward, your work slowly comes to an end.
There's a real slowing of the tempo in the text itself here. It acknowledges that you finish what you can. Not everything, but enough. That's such a forgiving idea.
I finish work. My work day ends. And then, this very modern, specific detail, I log off from work.
I log off. That digital severance, it's such a clear boundary.
And then, the post-work feeling. The source offers a choice again. You might feel relief, you might feel tiredness, or maybe both. And the text says both are honest.
Honest. That's the key word. It doesn't say good or bad. It says they are honest. It just encourages you to sit with the truth of your state. I feel tired after work. There's no shame in it. It's honest to be tired.
And then we reach. Well, it feels like the philosophical peak of this whole thing. This is where it goes from a language guide to a life guide. The work is done, you've logged off. And the text says, work is part of life, but it is not all of life.
This is the critical separation. We live in a world where we introduce ourselves by our job titles. This source is asking us to build a wall between what we do and who we are.
There's a specific sentence it asks the listener to say. And I'd really encourage people to say this out loud on their drive home. My work does not define me.
My work does not define me.
Yeah.
If you actually say that, it's heavy. It challenges the very core of how so many of us operate. We tether our self-worth to our productivity. This simple sentence cuts that tether.
And it follows that up with another gentle one. I did my best at work today.
I did my best, not I did everything, not I was perfect, just I did my best. And that has to be enough. The source calls the sentence gentle and true. It brings peace by accepting our limitations.
And even if the day was a disaster, maybe you didn't do your best, the text pivots to gratitude. It suggests saying, I am thankful for my work, or simply, I am thankful for today.
Gratitude shifts the brain from a state of lack what went wrong to a state of sufficiency. Being thankful just for getting through the day, that in itself is a victory. The source frames survival of the workday as a success.
It says, even on difficult days, you keep going, you keep learning. It frames the mere act of practicing this, of finding the words as growth.
That's the meta layer, isn't it? By learning to speak about work simply, you're gaining mastery over it. You're observing the day instead of being browned by it. It's mindfulness.
The section on closing the day is just. It's beautiful. It says, the workday is over now. There is nothing left to finish, nothing left to prove.
Nothing left to prove. That is the antidote to burnout. Burnout comes from the constant feeling that we need to justify our existence through our labor. This source just says, no, the day is done.
You are allowed to be human again.
Exactly. It reminds us our value isn't just in what we do, but in who we are. That's a message we desperately need to hear, repeated in simple English until it sticks.
And it ends on such a kind note. Be kind to yourself. You are learning. You are improving. It's talking about learning English, but it feels like it's talking about learning how to live.
Absolutely. Life is a practice. Work is a practice. We're all just improving.
So we've gone on quite a journey here. We started with the simple mechanics, I have a job. We moved through the routine, the coffee breaks, the stress, and we landed on this profound idea that work is just a thing we do, not the thing we are.
We use the simplest words possible to describe a very complex relationship, and I think that's the takeaway. When things feel overwhelming, when the jargon gets too loud, just go back to the basics. I do my work, I take a break, I did my best.
It's a tool for sanity.
It really is. Complexity often hides anxiety. Simplicity reveals truth. And the truth is, you are more than your task list.
So here's our final thought for you. The source ends by telling you to let the day end softly, to allow yourself to rest, because tomorrow will come with new tasks.
But if your work truly does not define you, if the day is just a series of tasks that begins and ends, what happens in that space after you say, I finished work? Can you allow yourself to truly log off, not just from your computer, but from your mind?
Can you give yourself permission to stop doing and just start being? That is the challenge. Try describing your day in simple English tomorrow. See how it feels. I did my best. I'll log off. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Rest well.
If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe and tell in the comments from where you are watching.